So in order to get all the paint off of the board, you want to start with a 50 grit and then move on to an 80 grit, and then a 120 is going to make it fine. If you want to be kind of anal about it, you can then throw on a 220 to finish it. This is the sander that I use to remove all the paint. Now, if you have a lot of chipping at the nose of the board, a lot of cracks, which this board doesn't have, you might want to use a jigsaw to cut a new shape in the nose or in the tail, wherever those chips might be occurring. For this, I'm just going to use wood filler to patch those empty spots and also to patch some of these grooves that are in the bottom of the board. Also, I like to pay attention to any cracking that's around the truck holes. I'm going to fill that in with wood filler as well. If you need to use a jigsaw to get rid of any major cracking, you can use an old deck that you like the shape of. You can place it on top, trace with a pencil that shape, and then cut it out with your jigsaw. Or you can go the more extraneous route and make your own template out of paper. If you need to remove grip tape, use a hair dryer to help you get started. And use a fingernail or a file to lift up that grip tape and start pulling it all the way down. And then to remove any goo that's left behind by the stickiness of the grip, use a pencil eraser to remove it. After all of your sanding is complete, you want to use a rag or a sock in this case to wipe away all of the dust that is on your board from sanding. Alright. After wiping down your board, making sure all the dust is out of the way, you want to use wood filler in all those spots I mentioned before. Any cracks, chips, paying attention to cracks around the truck holes, any divots in the deck from grinding or just scratching that occurs when you're skating. And let me show you how to apply that. I use wood filler, Ace brand, and use a putty knife. Use it liberally and massage it into any cracks or divots in the board. After applying your wood filler, you want to let it dry approximately 15 to 30 minutes. I sometimes just leave it overnight just to be extra sure that everything's dry. And then we're going to sand it. After your wood filler is dry, we're going to sand it, starting with the 80 grit to bump it down. If you use a 50 grit, it might bump some of the wood filler out of the divots that you want to fill, so I recommend starting with the 80 and then moving to 120 to finally sand it and make everything level. Now that our wood filler is sanded, we're going to add primer. We're going to apply 2 coats of primer about 3 minutes apart. After your primer is dry, you're going to pick a base layer color. I'm going to pick aqua for this board, and we're going to do 2 coats, waiting 20 minutes in between each coat. Now that our base color is applied, we're going to wait 24 hours until we begin stenciling.